Struggling single dad pulls twin girls from a frozen lake. Days later, 10 luxury SUVs bring a miracle. Story. The winter wind howled across the small town of Silver Creek, where 38-year-old Jack Turner, a single father and janitor, worked double shifts just to keep food on the table for his young son, Eli. Life had never been easy since his wife passed away 3 years ago, leaving behind only memories and unpaid hospital bills. Every morning, Jack would walk across the frozen lake shortcut to reach the school where he cleaned. Locals always warned, the ice is getting thin this time of year. But Jack had no choice, every saved minute mattered. One icy morning, as dawn painted the sky in pale gray, Jack heard something that froze his blood, a scream. He turned and saw 2 small figures near the middle of the lake, twin girls, waving their arms desperately before the ice beneath them cracked. Within seconds, they disappeared into the freezing water. Jack didn't hesitate. He dropped his bag, ripped off his jacket, and sprinted toward them. The ice cracked under his boots, slicing his palms as he crawled forward. He could hear the girls' faint cries, muffled by water. "Hold on. Don't give up," he shouted, plunging his arms into the black freezing hole. Minutes felt like hours. Jack managed to pull one girl out, her lips blue, her tiny body shaking violently. He laid her on the ice and went back for the second. His body screamed in pain, but he didn't stop until both girls were breathing again. When rescuers arrived, they found Jack half unconscious, covered in frostbite but holding both girls tight against his chest. He spent the next 2 nights in the hospital, recovering slowly. The girls, Lila and Emma, were from another town. Their stepmother had taken them to visit the lake but left them alone in the cold. The police said it was a miracle they were alive. Days later, Jack returned home to his quiet house. He didn't expect anything, not thanks, not reward. To him, saving them was simply what any father would do. But one morning, as he was making breakfast for Eli, the ground outside began to rumble. Jack looked out the window, and froze. 10 black luxury SUVs were parked along his dirt driveway. Men in suits stepped out, followed by a woman in a long winter coat and a soft scarf. Behind her stood the twin girls, smiling brightly. The woman walked up to him with tears in her eyes. "You saved my daughters," she whispered. "I was out of the country. I had no idea what happened until yesterday. They told me about the man who didn't hesitate to jump into that ice." Jack tried to speak, but she handed him an envelope. Inside were keys, and papers. "This isn't charity," she said, smiling gently. "It's gratitude. You risked your life for my family. I own the lakeside estate nearby. From now on, this house, and the job that comes with it, are yours." Jack stood there speechless, tears freezing on his cheeks. Behind him, Eli ran out and hugged his father's leg, looking at the SUVs in awe. The twins ran up too, hugging Jack tightly. "Daddy says heroes wear capes," one whispered, "but you wear an old jacket." Jack smiled for the first time in years. For once, life didn't feel cruel, it felt earned. And as the SUVs drove away, leaving tracks in the snow, Jack looked up at the sky, whispering, "Thank you, for bringing us a miracle." Life for Jack Turner was never the same after that snowy morning. What began as an act of instinct and love turned into a new beginning he could never have imagined. The woman who'd visited him, Rebecca Langford, a quiet billionaire and philanthropist, didn't just give him a new home. She offered him something far greater, a chance to rebuild his life. A week later, she called him. "Jack, I need someone I can trust to oversee maintenance and care for my lakeside properties. You don't owe me anything. Just bring your heart, the same one that saved my girls." Jack was hesitant at first. He'd spent years as a janitor, sweeping floors, fixing leaky pipes, surviving on scraps of hope. But Rebecca saw something in him, dignity, not desperation. He accepted the job. The first day he arrived, Eli ran around the big lakeside cabin like it was a dream. The twins, Lila and Emma, were there too, laughing, alive, and warm this time. Jack repaired fences, fixed the heating systems, restored the barns, but what touched Rebecca most was how gently he cared for her daughters. They followed him everywhere, calling him Uncle Jack. One evening, as the sun set over the frozen lake, Rebecca invited him to dinner. "Jack," she said softly, "do you believe things happen for a reason?" He nodded slowly. "Sometimes. I think people cross paths when they're meant to." Rebecca smiled. "My girls say you're their hero. But maybe you were meant to save more than their lives. Maybe this place was always supposed to bring you peace." Her words sank deep into his heart. For the first time in years, Jack didn't feel like a struggling man. He felt seen. A few months passed. Eli and the twins became inseparable. They built snowmen, played by the lakeside, and laughed like they'd known each other forever. Jack often stood by the window at night, watching them, whispering a quiet prayer of gratitude. The world had once taken everything from him, but now, it had returned more than he ever dreamed. One morning, Rebecca arrived again, this time alone. She handed him a small box. Inside were two items, a golden pocket watch and a handwritten note. "Time is the one thing you gave us when we had none left. You've reminded me that the world still has good men." Jack's eyes welled up. He couldn't speak. Rebecca smiled through tears. "You didn't just save my daughters, Jack. You saved me." As the wind whispered across the lake, Jack finally understood, sometimes miracles don't come in gold or fame. They come in frozen lakes, warm hands, and the quiet courage to care.